Internet friends, and welcome to our Georgia suburban homestead. It looks like it's going to be a sunny day today. We're at the very beginning of March, and the Earth is in a La Nina event. That means in Georgia it's going to be an early spring, a slightly wet spring, and so it's time to get my bees numbers built up. And to do that, I'm going to add a bunch of protein to my hive.
Hi there, Internet friends. I gotta get my coffee or I'm not gonna get anything done today. Charlie's feeding his bees and showing you how, I see. Oh, and you're making bread?
Yes, that's naan.
All right. Well, tell them all what your talented day is going to
Well, I'm going to cut this part out.
be. No, you're not. Keep talking.
So, as I was saying, we're having a La Nina event, which means in the southeast it's going to be an early and somewhat wet spring. If you're in Australia, you're having a few floods, maybe some fires later in the year. And if you're in the northeast, you're going to have a longer winter that breaks late. And unfortunately, some of that winter will occasionally slip down here and take out my plums and some other fruit. But, you know, what can you do? Anyway, I'm going to start building up the numbers of bees in my hive. And to do that, I'm going to put a protein source into the hive. But as well as feeding the bees and creating more bees, I'm probably going to end up feeding other things as well. So this week I'm going to try to take these other things out, particularly the small hive beetles. Try to start with a very low number of small hive beetles at the beginning of the year and keep the numbers low throughout the year. To do this, I'm going to take two paths. One, I'm going to trap them, and the other is I'm going to poison them. Now, some folks don't like putting poison inside their hive, but if you do it right, you can go on the internet and you can buy little clamshell devices. When you close them, they've got little holes on the side that the small hive beetle can go into, but the bees can't. And they've got an area in the middle that's blocked off. You probably can't see that because it's all bloody black. There you go. This area right here is where I will put the poison. And I will create a poison specifically for small hive beetles. And since it becomes really thin and the bees can't get into it, the bees won't get poisoned. This other method is basically a paper towel. Although this is not made out of paper. This is one of these things that supposedly you can scrub for weeks because it's actually made out of plastic. The thing is, the small hive beetles have little hooks and whatever on their feet, and those hooks will get stuck in this. The bees don't get stuck on this, but the small hive beetles do, and so it basically creates a trap for them. They crawl across it, they get stuck, and then they starve to death or dehydrate. Either way, they're not eating your protein source. So I generally put these into my hive in the fall, and that way it traps any small hive beetles that may be around. Plus, it kind of acts like a air filter that helps hold in the warm air. So if you're up north, you probably put a quilt into your hives. Down here, you don't need such a heavy amount of moisture retention, and these work fine and play double duty. So, what is the poison that I mix up? Well, first, let me go back to this. See these? Let me see. See all that junk on there? When you put something in the hive the bees don't like, they put propiose all over it. Propiose is a mixture of beeswax and tree sap, basically. It hardens up and they use it for sealing gaps anywhere, and they will also seal up your trouts. So I tend to buy a new set of trouts every year, try to clean these off, but I don't always get them real clean, and they may warp a little bit in the summer heat, so I start off with a fresh set. And if I have to, I'll try to reuse these. Not very efficient, you know, sustainability, but there's not a lot of plastic in these, and I think they actually are recyclable. I don't know what the companies think about all the propios on it, but maybe they can get it off. I tend to try to scrape it off anyway, because hey, it's a product of the hives itself. Anyway, so what do we use to make up the small hive beetle trout poison? A little bit of Crisco and boric acid. Now this is a commercial product for treating your home. You can use it for, it says for fleas. It will also get rid of roaches. It's 100% boric acid. Now you don't have to worry about boric acid. You can ingest boric acid. It tastes horrible, but it won't do anything to you. However, when insects ingest it, it forms these little crystals inside their gut when it hits the stomach acid. And those crystals tend to block their gut up. So once they eat enough boric acid, they basically will starve to death. Not the greatest way to go, but hey, we don't want a lot of small hive beetles in your hive, and they will take over a hive. They will, if you allow them to eat the protein or the bee bread in your hive, they will just decimate it. So what are we going to do? I'm going to get a little glass thing. Lisa's not going to like me using this, but the thing about Crisco and boric acid, the boric acid is soluble in water and it goes down into your septic tank, and it doesn't do anything bad to your septic tank. And in fact, if you grow cabbage and some of the brassicas, some folks are saying you put a little spoon of boric acid in the hole when you plant your brassicas. Don't do it, you know, I'd say get a soil test done first so you know whether you need boron in your soil or not. But, you know, boric acid is not a horrible thing. You can sprinkle some up under your refrigerator and around the cabinets, and it, you know, when the roaches walk through it, they pick it up on their feet. When they clean themselves, then you got dead roaches, and you don't have to worry about picking any of it up yourself, because you won't pick up enough to hurt yourself. And in fact, like I said, won't do anything to you, but it is in your food, hopefully. The Crisco, put enough soap in the thing, and it, you know, it also goes into your septic tank. So this is a relatively benign poison for everybody but the small hive beetles. And of course, you could put some of that, you know, if you got a really bad roach problem, especially those German cockroaches, mix some of this stuff up and put it where the German cockroaches will go, and you'd be surprised about 2 weeks later, if you got enough of it out there, you're not going to have any more German cockroaches. So, what do? We take, I didn't get a spoon because it's really not critical. Let me lower the thing here for you. Yeah, now you can see it. And my coffee. And my apple cider is starting to work. Alright. So, I'm going to mix up, upside down. I'm going to mix up about 2 parts of Crisco, and the exact ratio is not important. I I use a plastic fork. And I probably need a little more. So I'm going to make enough for 10 trouts. And this is a great mixture for spring, but in heavy, hard summer, it's not that great because it melts. But for spring, getting rid of those small hive beetles in spring, it's pretty good. So I'm going to mix in about half as much boric acid. Doesn't take a lot of boric acid for a small hive beetle because they are small. Just mix that in. Just cut it in with a fork, like you're making pastry, if I remember correctly. Cutting in sugar into Crisco. You get your trout. Yep, you can see that. And we're just going to put it, and we're going to make sure we don't get it where the bees can actually get to it. My understanding is they don't like Crisco anyway, so no big deal for that. There, you got it down in that central area. The bees' tongues can't reach that far. Small hive beetles, being as small as they are, can go through this little gap here and here and here and here. And there you go. You got the trout. Now, I'm going to get some paper towel when I get all these done and clean them off. But there you go. I'll put that on top of the frames in each level of the hive. Put one at least. Put one of these on the other side, and hopefully within a week I'm not going to have any small hive beetles in my hives. Get them out, and next week I'll mix up some protein food and put that in there, and they're off to the races. See you later. Hopefully.